Welcome to the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program for this week. We're talking the reasons why most diet and exercise programs do not work for women over 50. Can't wait to share this one with you. Well, now that I finally turned the microphone on, you can hear me. Hello and welcome to the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show for this week. I'm really excited about getting into this show today because it is absolutely my top number one favorite topic in the world. And I'm really on, I guess, such a high myself because we've just finished the first round of the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter 8-week program, and it's been a fantastic experience. And some of the things that have come out have been wonderful. But for many of you who don't know, my background is actually as a fitness instructor. So I was in the 1980 actually. I began in the fitness industry back in the days of the fluoro leotards and leg warmers and belts and headbands and all those wonderful things that were very exciting about the 80s, big hair and big shoulder pads, the whole thing. And it was a career I loved. I did it for 15 years, absolutely loved it, had a TV show, taught the world's largest indoor aerobic class at the time in 1982, and enjoyed a great career in the fitness industry. And then, of course, as many of you know, autism came along and sort of changed the trajectory. I had to step out of the industry because I needed to be outside. I needed to be in the home at the times when, most classes were being taught. So, and then going off to do other things. And now I'm back. I am back more passionate than ever, I think, about releasing weight and the right exercise and the right way to eat. And as I said to somebody the other day who asked me a question, I said the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program has been written for women in their 50s by somebody in their 60s, by understanding what we're going through. So that's what we're going to go through today. I'm going to share with you what really gets to me about so many of these diet and exercise programs that are marketed to people without understanding that women in their 50s and beyond and leading up to it, in the late 40s, 50s and beyond, need something different. And the old model that was taught is no longer relevant, absolutely no longer relevant. And it's come about by a number of things, but in particular, the fact that, all these diet and exercise programs that have been around since the 70s have not reduced the amount of the numbers of people who struggle with weight, hasn't reduced the number of inflammatory diseases that to take over our world. And part of the reason so many people are succumbing to this pandemic is that people are so unwell. So the old model that was taught to us in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and into the 2000s is wrong. And that's what's so exciting about what's actually happening right now, because we're going back to ancient, old traditions that are for longevity and for life. And I'm going to share all of those with you on this show today. So just say hello if you're on where you can hear me, obviously. Turn the microphone helps. And I'm going to just go through some of these things. As I said, I've been doing this for a long time. And what's so wonderful, I didn't realize in my 60s that I would have a better body than I did when I was 30. For various reasons. One, I'm not focused on being skinny, number one. Number two, I'm focused on other things and strength. And I think it's just wonderful. If anybody told me back when I was teaching 4 aerobic classes a day, thinking I was cute, with the high leotards and all that stuff, the lycra tights, that this is what I'd be doing in my 60s, I wouldn't have believed them. Less exercise, eating better, eating more and more. Wouldn't have believed them. So I'm going to share all that with you today on today's show, hopefully, as we get through this. All right. So number one, the biggest problem about most diets and exercise programs, they do not address the core issues that cause us to gain visceral fat, in particular visceral belly fat. When they're only about diet and they're only about exercise, they're missing two key components that are essential for helping you feel stronger, leaner, and lighter. And the four things that cause this visceral fat, and visceral fat is very, very important. We must be focused on this because, as I've said in numerous shows, has shown that those with increased amount of visceral fat, more than 10% of what you should have a stronger start that all over again. End up with a stronger predilection to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers, and of course, the virus that's running around the world at the moment. Most people who succumb to the virus thing going around the world have two or more comorbidities. They're not healthy people. They have two or more comorbidities, and guess what the number one is? Obesity. That's the number one. I mean, it's just there. Obesity. And the second thing, a brand new study that came out last week of those who succumb to it don't exercise, don't put movement in their day. So, this is something we have to focus on. You can't ignore this. It just is something we have to focus on. So let's look at the four things that cause increased visceral fat that most diet and exercise programs don't focus on. Number one is stress. It is the number one issue for most people right now, and especially low-grade stress and anxiety. Low-grade stress and anxiety, because it's always, look what happened in Perth. All of a sudden, bam, you're in lockdown. Bam. Oh, can you think all those people last weekend who would have had plans for a long weekend? There would have been weddings, there would have been parties and celebrations. There were plane loads of people flying in and out of Perth. Bang, stop, bang. It's just this living with this. And I don't know about you, but you remember when breaking news used to be, oh my God, there's breaking news. Now it's like, every time you see breaking news come up on the screen, you go, what now? Just like, what is it? So stress, number one, this low-grade anxiety causes rises in cortisol. Sleep, so important. Our good sleep hygiene, this leads to visceral fat. The SAD diet, which is the standard Australian diet or standard American diet, so critical, is that leads to visceral fat, and that's predilection towards high carbohydrate, sugar. As I mentioned last week on the show, things like tonic water, and people think, I'm having a gin and tonic. There's so much sugar in tonic water. It's like that's high increases of sugar. And of course, purposeful exercise. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about purposeful exercise, not exercise to lose weight. That is a misnomer. You can never out-exercise a bad diet, and you just don't burn enough calories to warrant the fact that exercise can make you lose weight. I think, you have to exercise for an hour and a half to go with enough calories from a slice of bread. So purposeful exercise, and I'll explain about that a little bit in a minute, why it's so important. Most of these diets are quick fixes. You go on them for a period of time. And so that yo-yo thing is so bad for you. In fact, great study that was released, I think it was 2015, that showed that women who dieted by restricting calories, their daily caloric intake, within 12 months would have put on whatever weight they lost in that initial dieting and more. So not just put it on, they put on more. And I'll explain to you why that is. And the other thing is that most of these diet programs totally ignore women over 50. Totally ignore women. I was watching something the other day, this program that I've been following, I wanted to see what people are doing, and they've had jumping in it. What do they call them? Oh, I can't remember the name, but jumping, and I'm thinking, what? That's not, you shouldn't be jumping when you're 50. Many many of us who can't for whatever reason, we know. And you don't need to do that. Burpees, that's the word I'm looking for. This, down on the floor and jumping up and jumping up and jumping down. That's not appropriate exercise for women. We don't need to be doing that. We just don't. And I'm looking and thinking, of course, designed by someone in their 30s. I have no idea. So let's look at why. Just give me a heart or a hello. Let me know if you can hear me, of course, if you're on the show today. So why is dieting so bad? Let me put this in a nutshell. Remember Einstein's theory of relativity? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when you diet, what your body does, it adapts by slowing metabolism. That's exactly what, if you restrict food, the amount of calories you need, your body adapts by slowing metabolism. And for me, it's like for every diet, there's an equal and opposite binge just waiting to happen, usually more. If you restrict food like that, restrict calories. I was talking to somebody the other day who was telling me they were on an 800 calorie a day diet. You can't sustain that. That's just ridiculous. And I think somebody's made that very popular, restricting 800 calories a day. That's lunacy. Absolute lunacy. You need energy. You need energy. And if you're restricting calories, your metabolism will slow down. And guess where the metabolism is made? In your muscles. So your muscle mass decreases. And you do not need that when you're over 50. When you're over 50, you've got to be building that muscle mass because that's where your metabolism is. That's where your strength comes from. And why the old model of 5 to 6 small meals per day was incorrect. Do you remember that? Eat every 2 hours, always have a snack on hand. That was wrong. That was just wrong. It's like, it reminds me of, remember the Pritikin diet of the 70s? I don't know if you heard of it. Maybe your parents were. My parents went on the Pritikin diet because it was believed that fat made you fat and fat was bad for your heart. And because that's just wrong, absolutely wrong. Discovered 10 years later that eating fat foods had nothing to do with cholesterol. Nothing. In fact, we need cholesterol. I mean, I remember my parents going on that diet and couldn't have eggs. You could only have egg white. Oh, for goodness sake. Now it's just because that's all blown out the window now. It's got nothing to do with it. But here's what the research is showing is that the body needs between 10% and 30% of its daily energy requirements just to digest foods. It's one of the most energy requirements that the body has to digest food. And if you're eating 5 or 6 small meals a day, the body is continually trying to digest this food. And that's why for many women in particular will feel tired. Because that's the body needs. Now we need energy. We need the energy because we're so active, we're so busy. Women over 50 are busy now. Not when my mother was 50. They were slowing down. We're not doing that anymore. We're just getting started. 50 is like right smack bang in early middle age now. The WHO have readjusted their figures. We're going to live a long time, and our new 50 is like us being 30. And you need energy because there's a lot you've got to do. Plus, you might probably struggling with menopause or perimenopause. You might have teenage kids, aging parents, and you want to work. If you're eating regularly, that is not giving you energy. That's been another misnomer. And that's why research now is talking about fasting. Now, this is not new. Fasting is not new. It's actually ancient. It's an ancient practice. Religious organizations in many religions practice fasting. Catholics fast during Lent, Muslims fast during Ramadan. It's actually a practice. And the whole idea was fasting was, it allowed the body to have more spiritual experience. It gave you more focus, gave you more energy. It was really interesting. Not that I recommend fasting for 40 days. Don't do that. But the reason it's resurfaced is because of the epidemic of inflammatory diseases we now think are normal. We think they're normal. Do you know, every time I go to a doctor, which is very seldom, but if I have, the first thing they'll ask me is, what medication you on? None. And it's like, what? Go back and check how old I am. You mean you're on no medication? None. And my husband, who's 10 years older than me, same thing. Every time, none. Like, it's just kind of now expected that people, as they age, go on medication. A lot of these inflammatory diseases, they're brand new. They're not all. They're not something we've always had. You know, heart disease, some cancers, type 2 diabetes. Those types of inflammatory diseases have come about by our diet. It's our diet, and it's a way of living. So what does fasting do? It helps stabilize blood sugar levels, increase resistance to stress, and suppresses inflammation and helps improve focus, concentration, and memory. It is such a simple, effective, lasting, energy boosting practice. I couldn't live without it now. And when I first heard about intermittent fasting, which is the 16-8 protocol, which is the one that I practice, there was no way I was having a bar of it. I thought it was another form of diet until I did more research on it. And I started off with 2 days a week, and that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Now it's 5 days a week. I don't even think about it. Now, once a month, we also incorporate a 24-hour fast, and once every 3 months, we're going to do a 48-hour fast. Why? Because the benefits are extraordinary. Can I just tell you that focus, energy, well-being, interesting research article I was reading this week about how fasting resets our taste buds. And that found that people who practice regular intermittent fasting, actually their desire for sugar went down because their taste buds are changing. So really interesting stuff. And that's because what we follow in the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program. The second thing is that exercise must have a purpose. It has to incorporate mind, body, and spirit. Now, I grew up. Well, I did grow up. I grew up. I taught aerobics in the days when it was all about what we called LSD exercise, long, slow duration. So, you exercise for a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes with your heart rate in the 60 to 80% capacity. And that's what we thought was enough. Well, that's all gone out the window as well, because there's no benefit in that. No benefit in it, long, slow duration exercise. It's got to have a purpose, and exercise purposefully. And what I find, as I mentioned at the beginning, is so many of these diet and exercise programs are designed by women under 30 or by men. As I said, we see burpees and jumping up on boxes and jumping jacks. You don't need to be doing all that. That's just craziness. It is not good for you. You don't need to be jumping. You just don't. And as I said, for many women who've had natural childbirth, by the time you get in your 50s and 60s, it doesn't matter how many pelvic floor exercises you've done in your life, you just don't need to do it. So many other things to do. And so the exercise for women over 50 is for the purpose of strength. Number one, rebuild that muscle mass, which you may have lost through dieting in the past. Posture, really important. Nothing makes you age more than poor posture. And flexibility, because the flexibility helps protect you against injury. It's not about weight loss. It's not about weight loss. It's for those other reasons. And in the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program, actually have created a signature 9-minute workout that incorporates HIIT and strength and flexibility and posture, all those things in like 9 minutes a day. You can't do that. If you're interested in finding out more about the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter online program, which actually starts next Monday, there's the link there, and I'll pop a link below. I do want to say before I move on, because I'm going to tell you about the 10 principles of the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program. Remember, this is about stuff that you're going to do now for the rest of your life. So the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program is based on 10 evidence-based or ancient principles and not quick fixes. And as I said to the gals in the 8-week program that's just finished up this week, whenever you get a bit shaky, whenever you get to the point where you think, oh, it's all falling apart, you had a bad day, or bad week, or bad month, go back to the 10 principles. Pick them up. They're simple. Everything in that is simple. Remember, I've been doing this a long time. I don't want complicated. I'm going to share with you, but a quick shout out again to our sponsors, NAS Cosmetic, Jen Hines. Give them, hop on their Facebook page. Jen runs these regular workshops. They're fantastic. You go and have a morning with her, and she, helps you put your makeup on. You walk out with having a glass of champagne, beautiful food, and and looking amazing. Great products. I just absolutely love them. They are great for coverage. They stay on. They last a long time. So check out NAS Cosmetics. Righty, I'm going to move into the 10 principles now. 10 principles of the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program. And again, these are things you commit to now and in the future. It's not quick fixes. So the first one is eat consciously. And eating consciously involves being intentional about what you want, making a commitment, and then bringing in your intuition. So eating intuitively. You also inform, so you have some understanding of nutrition and making those decisions. Being introspective into the reasons why you choose certain foods, what triggers you, what triggers your choices, what triggers your cravings, why you want to eat certain things at certain times. That's all understanding about that, and the introspection, and of course implementation. We talk a lot about, planning and preparing, and pace, slowing down your eating, and being present when you eat instead of beating yourself up. Next one, of course, really forms a major part of the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter is eat fast intermittently. I cannot honestly say what a difference this has made in my life. I love it. This is not restricting food. This is eating within a time window. And there's some rules to follow with intermittent fasting. I think where a lot of people come undone with intermittent fasting is they think, like, I'm hungry, I'll have, muffin or something. And because I've not eaten for 16 hours, then, I can eat anything. It's not like that. It's having a normal caloric intake, no restriction on the amount of calories, but you're eating a whole foods diet, which is mostly based on Mediterranean style, lots of good fats, lots of good vegetables, lean proteins, and plenty of fruit too, by the way. But, eating in a time window, the way that you complete your fast and start your fast are really important. We cover that in the program, because I think that's where most people fall a little bit, is not understanding how to do it properly. And again, this took me a little while to figure this out. What worked best for me, there are a couple of things about it that are crucial to making it work for you and sort of readjusting that metabolism. But I can tell you, if you told me, I said 5 years ago, that this is the way you do it, you don't have breakfast, I would have told you you know what you're talking about. Believe it or not, it's fine. Number 3 is exercise purposefully, as I mentioned before, is to connect mind, body, and spirit. Walking with intent, feeling what it's like when you're walking, focusing on simple strength exercises, like shifting away from anything that's, involves jumping up and down, but really focus. Age when we're 50, we need strength, especially upper body strength. And of course, I believe you can do exercise at home. I don't think you need to go anywhere, and do it in under 20 minutes a day. Pretty cool. Drink water frequently is number 4. So essential, especially if you're practicing fasting. And there's some guidelines on that we cover in the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program. Meditate daily. When we're talking about visceral fat, this is one of the things that just has to be a non-negotiable. Just has to be a non-negotiable. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 minutes when you can grab it. So essential, especially in our very busy world with lots of bad news. Need to meditate. Tap regularly, of course, is that, I like to do it daily, but, at least 2 or 3 times a week, you're using EFT to understand what's triggering your stress and releasing the emotional connection to those triggers. Number 7, living purposefully. Now, this is some great research that's come out about this just recently, about people who live with a purpose or are living through their purpose are more likely, it's like 75% more likely to make healthy choices, which I thought was really, really interesting. So it's looking at, are you aligning your soul purpose and your life purpose to make those work? Because if you're not, you're less likely to make high choices. And you can easily, by understanding your soul purpose and your life purpose, intertwine them, no matter what work you're doing right now, by learning to implement your soul purpose, which is simply, what did you love to do when you were 4 years old? And you can change that. Forgive easily, and this starts as number 8, and this starts with you. It's looking at all the things you say about yourself and your body, understanding the things that have held you back in the past simply by the words you're using, the beliefs you have. And a very, very, very important part of this program is to forgive easily. Forgive yourself. Go back and look at all the things and all the people, words, events of your past that cause you to think about your body the way that you do right now. And this is a very powerful part of the program. For a number of people, this is actually the linchpin when they finally figure out that what they were told when they were 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16 by some well-meaning relative is still impacting today on the choices they made. Very powerful. And it's like once you kind of get this forgiveness part about your body, everything settles down. Love unconditionally, and that's mostly about you, is accepting your body, accepting where you are, taking the pressure off. And of course, the last one is seek joy, not see joy, but you can do that too. Seek joy, celebrate often, and expect miracles. And we do that on the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program because we are celebrating small wins. And it's never, ever, ever, ever about the scale. We talk about non-scale wins. We talk about what difference this will make, what choices you've made, how you're feeling, what's your biggest non-scale win, what it's never about the scales. And if you're still measuring or weighing yourself, it's so 1980, just quietly. It's so 1980. All right, if you want to know more about the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter online program, there it is. I'm just going to pick it up and I'm going to pop it. You should be able to pick it up there. Pick it up and pop it in the comments below, and have a look. Let me see. Reach out to me. Have a chat to see if this is the right program. Remember, the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter program is not something you do, even though it's an 8-week program. The whole premise is to create the principles by which you will live your life for the rest of your life. If you're in your late 40s, 50s, and 60s right now, you are probably going to live another at least 40 years based on our current models, if you are not one of the unwell people suffering from inflammatory diseases. We have the technology, the ability, the knowledge to live well into our hundreds if you choose to adapt to the principles now instead of jumping on diets and off diets. I want you to do something. So click on the link and we'll find out more about the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter online program starting next Monday. And I'd love to help support you to be stronger, leaner, and lighter now and for the rest of your life. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I shall see you next week on the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show. Bye for now.